Representative Ward from Arizona, Senator Ward.
Thank you, Kelly Ward from Arizona. I have just two things. One is a request from either the Executive Committee or the Communications Committee that we get our own hashtag so that we can make a searchable entity for people that we represent, because along the lines of activating the legislature, if we don't activate the people, they're not going to be able to activate their members. That's the best way to get something done, is to have people in their districts put pressure on them. So Make DC Listen is already taken, so we need to have something that's easy to search and fun to hashtag with Twitter and Facebook so that we can get the word out through social media. And then just for the good of the order, I just wanted to let you all know that the book we signed at the Mount Vernon Assembly in December did get into Mark Levin's hands. I was able to speak with him, and he's very appreciative about the work that we are all doing here to save our country and restore the proper balance between the federal government and the states. So thank you.
All right. Do you want to explain that? Check out the website. Some of these links and the hashtag are actually on the website. And I say that with some trepidation because I don't know what those words mean. Okay? Sorry. I'm a 70s guy, still am, okay? The one final comment I wanted to make is there is going to be a great deal of miscommunication, misinformation, intentional or otherwise, regarding what we're doing. As to illustrate that, someone last night, I think the dinner I was at, mentioned that they saw a news report yesterday that said there were 33 of 50 states represented here, and that's true. We had folks from 33 states sign up. We mentioned only 22 appointed, however. And the reason why it was 33 was that 34 was a 2/3 majority, and it would be illegal for us to have 34 states here. And so people say things and it gets repeated, whether it's in the internet universe or otherwise. And our friends in the media sometimes aren't clear on that, and they of course do a wonderful job and the best job that they can do to make that information clear. But you all know what is going on here. And so you need to be the disciples of the truth about what we're trying to accomplish and clarifying these facts. And so I would ask all of you to do that. Finally, today we're going to have some closing remarks from Representative Kappengut. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All right, I'm going to start out with an accountant joke. Can I tell one?
How about if you give it to me and I tell it?
All right.
Go ahead, Representative.
So 6 months before my wife met me, she went to the doctor and he said, "You've got 6 months to live." And she said, "That's terrible." She was distraught. She said, "I don't know what to do." And he said, "I've got one suggestion for you." And she said, "Well, I'll take any suggestion that you've got right now." And he looked down and he said, "I think you need to go find an accountant to marry." And she said, "I can't quite figure that one out." And he looked at her and he said, "It's because that's going to make that 6 months feel an awful lot longer." Yeah, thanks for letting me get that in. I've got a bunch of lawyer jokes too, but out of respect for Senator Long, I'm not going to touch them. First, I do want to just start my ending remarks by giving another thank you to Senator Long and his staff. I'd like everybody to stand and just give them an ovation for their work. Skip and Laura and Chris, and they've done an amazing job. Skip over here in the right's been great. Laura's somewhere. It's been wonderful. We're looking forward to coming back in 6 months so you can do this all over again, Skip. The next thing is just, I wanted to thank everybody here. Personally, thank you for coming. This is something that started with one person, went to 5 people. We're at 105 people now. And I think that's an amazing thing to the testament of what we are doing, what's so cool about it. And me and Representative Huffman were talking the other night, and he said something that stuck with me. He said 8 years ago when he got elected, he wanted to do something that had not been done before. And I think that's really interesting. As I thought about it, we're doing something that has not been done before. We actually get to find something that no state legislators have done in the last 200 and some years. And that's step up and engage with the responsibility that we have been given in our Constitution that we all took an oath to. So I want to thank you guys for being leaders, not followers, because we all know we have pressure in this. I want to specifically single out our Democrat colleagues, because I'll tell you, you talk about pressure, we get pressure, they've got more pressure because they are in the minority right now in this body, but we're going to change that. And I am really encouraged by what just happened at the end there. Gave me all warm and fuzzies, and if I were not an accountant and I had an emotion inside, I would probably be crying. But I don't have any emotion. Ask my wife. It's a critical piece, and I'll tell you, the executive committee has struggled with this, and we have tried to be as careful as we can every move. And even in our executive committee meetings, we are cautious with the words we use because we have to recognize that the words we use count. And if we are using words that are offensive to our colleagues in the blue states, or if our colleagues in the blue states are using words that are offensive to our colleagues in the red states, we are going to have a hard time. And that's something that we will continue to work through together. But I'm really encouraged by what I heard today. Thank you for that. I want to real quick just set expectations for next meeting. There's been a lot of conversation about that. What I would love to see is for the committees to engage and complete the work that has been assigned. And if we can come back at our next meeting and have a complete committee report with everything that was assigned, we can at the next meeting debate, discuss, and adopt a set of rules that we could hand off to the next body, which, if all goes well, would be a convention of the states. But a critical piece to that is, just like Annapolis, we've got to have a quorum, and we've got to have a good representation of the American people here through their representatives. So we've got work to do. We've been tasked with important work. This is a load that can only be carried out by us as state legislators. It's a privilege. It's an honor. It's also pretty heavy. It's our responsibility to complete the framework we began at Mount Vernon and built on this week. Because if we don't, who will? I can tell you that after seeing the talent, the ambition, and the patriotism in this room, I have no doubt it's not just going to get done, but it's going to get done well. As you're doing this work, I ask you to remember the effort it took George Washington and the founders in getting to Philadelphia. It was not an easy road, but they didn't stop. Remember the compromise that took place to get the finished product of that meeting in Philadelphia, which is one of the greatest documents in history. No party walked away with everything they wanted, and neither will you or I. But look at what compromise brought. It's a document that represents the will of the people, not the will of the government. Remember that it's the lack of compromise in Washington, D.C. that brought us to this place in history and in this place today. But we're going to change that. We're going to lock arms and we're going to push forward because the country we all love needs us, and it needs us now. We cannot wait. Ask yourself again, which Washington do I want to emulate? I want to thank you again for stepping up. I wish you all safe travels back. Senator Arnold, I hope your lawnmower still got gas in it and it's still running. With that, Mr. Speaker, I ask that you adjourn the second meeting of this body.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The chair will entertain a motion from the representative spokesman for the state of Indiana to adjourn. You have such a motion? Thank you. Second from Colorado. Any opposition? We are adjourned.